Okay, on to sanding the epoxy spots here. I'm going to use my long board, medium length board. I guess it's about 8 inches, 2.5 inches wide, or 2 inches maybe, I don't know. Anyway, 120 grit. Just going to go with the grain of the wood and sand down these spots here. Okay, I'm just sanding the outside of it with a 220. It's coming out really smooth. It says you sand it with 220 to eliminate any flatness, the look of the wood after the epoxy's on it, and I could see how that might happen. I have a couple little drips come out from when I fiberglass the inside of the door, so I'm sanding those down. If you just fiberglass over it, you'll see that. So just working slow. 220 cuts a lot slower than the 120 did, so just have to take my time. Sandpaper's not loading up, so far so good. Okay, continuing to work on the top of it. Same thing, sand it with the 220, and I'm going to go over the edges with the hand sander in a bit. Okay, continuing on to the side, these patches of epoxy, 120 instead of 220. Change the sandpaper. Just getting a little slow cutting. Don't be cheap on your sandpaper. Makes your life a lot easier. Okay, continuing on to the rear. sand through to the lower level of the plywood, the next layer. Coming out pretty good. There's those little white spots there. That's just going to be a little tiny air bubble, but I think I can sand a little more of that out. And that seems looking pretty good. Even right here, whatever that notch was for, it's filled in. And along the seam where the hatch is going to open, I didn't fill it with anything. There's one spot right here, and I think it was an air bubble under the epoxy, so I'm going to have to refill that in. But the rest of this looks pretty good. Another spot here, there was 2 different layers of the epoxy filler. It looks pretty good. One little layer bubble there. I think I'll take a toothbrush and try to get that powder out of there. That should fill in though with the epoxy from the fiberglassing. I still got to sand around over this, and then both sides I have to sand this, so that's coming up. Okay, I didn't show you what I actually did, but it's hard to see. That one little spot that was a big void, I mixed up some crazy glue and some wood filler, not wood filler, but wood flour, and smashed it in there, hardened, you know, pretty much immediately, sanded it down, and filled that void in pretty good. I mean, there's a slight difference in color. Unless you're looking for it, you won't see it. I also filled in one of the little void that was down here, right there. I filled in. It worked out pretty good. There's 2 over here I need to do. Right there, right there. So I'm gonna mix up a little more and get those done. Basically, you just take a drop of super glue, mix it with the wood flour with a little razor blade, cram it in the crack, hardens, you know, 10 seconds, 15 seconds later, and don't need any of the accelerant. It hardens, and you just sand it right over. Okay, here's the mix of super glue and wood filler, wood flour I should say. Just crammed it in the cracks. Still hard. Still takes a little while to harden. Takes a little longer than if you don't. I don't want to use the accelerant. Don't really need to. It hardens. Actually, I got some mixture on my skin and it started to burn once it started to set. It was crazy how hot it got. Anyway, sand it on. I'll show you in a second. There it is. Sanded off. Just a little change in color right there in the center. But you would never see this later. Anyway, seems to be working good. I don't have to wait 24 hours for a mix of epoxy and flour to harden. Hope to start laying fiberglass tomorrow.